Happy Monday morning. Pride. For the next couple days, we're going to talk about pride. Catalyst for responsibility. Marshaling human capital. Being able to take the intelligence, passion, innovation, sweat, hands, the human capital that you have and are responsible for, and marshaling it towards a common goal. A catalyst for responsibility. No greater tool that you have in your toolkit, and no better time invested, in my opinion, than investing it in building pride. Building pride. Pride leads to exceeded job expectations. Pride leads to greater innovation. Employees come early, stay late. Employees don't need to be told what to do. Employees get things done when they have pride. And when they have pride in the organization, and there's organizational pride, we have less stress, we get more done, people are in alignment, and we have more meaningful, active workplaces. Pride. And if you remember, and you can see it attached to this email, I gave you a flow chart, how to build pride. So for the next couple days, short blurbs, we're going to talk about pride. Two kinds of focus: organizational, individual. First, let's talk about building organizational pride. How do I build organizational pride? First, I have to communicate, in my opinion, I have to regularly communicate why the work is important, which is different than that we do the work well. So let's first talk about why the work is important. Now, you know and I know that the work is important, but are you preaching that message regularly? And how are you preaching that message regularly? If we're not preaching that message regularly, then how would your employees know that they are positively impacting, collectively, positively impacting every citizen from cradle to grave? You can't just assume that they would know that. Well, that's the beginning of pride. When I feel like my work has value, meaning, purpose, that it is significant, then I'm more proud. Or at least there's the genesis, the beginnings of pride. Organizational pride starts with the work that we do is important. But that in and of itself is not enough. The next step is, are we any good at it? See, it's one thing for our work to be important. It's another thing that we're any good at the important work. So the next step is, how are we quantifying, measuring that the work that we do is worth a darn? Goals, roles, and what winning is. Write that down. Goals, roles, and what winning is. If I haven't clarified that we do the work well, then the likelihood of pride is minimal at best. Not just enough that the work we do is important, but how are we at the work? Scoreboards and standards that we follow breed pride, but only if we communicate it, follow it, celebrate it. How are we keeping score? So what's the goal? What's the role? What's winning? Then we've got to regularly communicate our achieving of those standards. Now, it could be in a monthly newsletter. Maybe you gather all the great stories in a monthly newsletter and push it out that way. Maybe you do what I did. I used to ask for above and beyond stories. I asked all my direct reports to tell me something great that happened in the last 7 days in one of their departments. So they had to come to the executive management meeting every week, and they had to tell me something great that happened in the last 7 days in their department. And then I wrote that person a handwritten note, oftentimes sending it to their home, not just putting it in their file. Why? So that somebody at the house opened that up and pride. I did good. My family reads that I did good. And the big boss, you're the big boss, sent me a note of thanks. It also sends the message, you know what's going on in the organization. And something good better be happening every 7 days. And then finally, and this is a little outside the box, what about a quick YouTube message once a month? You know, you just take the webcam, film it, you send it out on your intranet, work with your IT department, and it's, hey, let me tell you the great thing that's happening here. Let me tell you the great thing that's happening there. Pride through osmosis. Voyeur pride, right? The offense sees the defense doing a great job on the field. They have pride in the team. That's an important piece of pride. So, organizational pride. How are you strategically and intentionally building organizational pride? Why is the work that I do important? The whys, evangelizing the whys. Are we any good at it? Standards, accreditation. Regularly communicating that we're any good at it. And whether that's blasting it out in an e-newsletter, telling the great stories, whether that's the above and beyond note that you send out because your direct reports tell you something great was happening. Either way, it needs to be regularly communicated. Something that I'd ask you to thoughtfully consider. Meet with every new hire. Meet with every new hire. Meet with every new hire and explain to them the value of the work and why your department's any good at it. Once a year, annually, at the beginning of the year, meet with every employee. I could never do that. I know some directors that have thousands of employees that literally are meeting with every employee at the beginning of the year and explaining to them why the work is important and the goals for the year. Meet with every new hire, meet with every employee once a year, and then reinforce it the ways that I just mentioned. You do that, you'll start to lay a foundation for organizational pride. See you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.